Hey, I wanted to do a little bit of a video doing a little bit more description of this camshaft that I decided to buy for the traditional small block. The small block that was in my Blazer, I always kick myself in the butt for not going with the factory hydraulic roller setup. Because if you have a block that's set up for factory hydraulic roller, why would you put a flat tappet cam in it? Only because you're cheap. Or I can only speak for myself, but I'm going to admit that the only reason I didn't do the hydraulic roller before was because I was too cheap. So anyway, moving forward, this next rendition of the 350 that's going to be in the Blazer, at least for a little while, will be a hydraulic roller. If you guys do any research at all, you'll find all the big cam manufacturers have a certain portion of their camshaft listings that are produced by a major bulk producer, and then they purchase from that producer and in turn put their name on a box and put that cam and sell it under their name with a markup. So if you're careful and do your research appropriately, you can find some really good deals and get some almost half price or better savings. So as I was talking a little bit in my previous video, I was really interested in this particular camshaft, but when I first found it, it was being marketed by Howard's Racing, because I've had really good luck with Howard's cams. So I was like, man, I really like that cam, but it's just too expensive. I didn't want to spend $300 on a cam. Or I think his was like $275 or $285 plus tax or whatever. So I got to looking in the Star catalog and I started doing a little research. Lo and behold, here's this hydraulic roller cam that I had been kind of eyeing from afar, that I didn't really want to spend that kind of jack on, but I was like, man, this cam is only 178 bucks. So I started doing a little research. I'm like, sure enough, this is the Elgin. I want to get that number right. I believe it's an E1135P as in Paul. E1135P as in Paul, which is a 4 with a 1.5 rocker, would be a 480 lift on both intake and exhaust. Duration at 50 thousandths would be 230 on both sides. Advertised 306 both sides on a 108 lobe separation angle. Now that's key. What's going to make this cam really talk is because it's ground on that 108 lobe separation angle. The tighter you tighten those up, the more rumpety you get out of your exhaust. Well, I had seen this cam, really liked the specs on it, and here's my application and my logic why. All small block Chevy, let's say old school, cast small block Chevy heads had a specific lift that the factory knew and proved that they would actually make good power at without stalling out the port. On small block Chevy performance heads, such as like your double hump heads, if you could run a cam, and keep in mind this was without even porting them, if you could run a cam that had between 500 and 530 lift on them, it really wakes the heads up. But anything on a factory unported double hump head, once you exceeded, I want to say it was like 535 lift or something to that effect. Once you exceed that much lift on a factory head, you weren't really gaining any more horsepower because the head would stall. So basically, what the word in the industry is saturated. The port would become saturated and couldn't flow any more air. So any lift above 535 or whatever it was just didn't flow. So you could put as much lift as you want in there, but the engine would only make a certain amount of power because that's all the heads could produce. Well, from my experience with building engines and playing with camshafts and stuff, I know that low 500 range is a really solid lift, or excuse my terminology, it's a really good lift to run, especially in a street car, because it makes good all-around power, but it's not so much lift that you're just killing yourself with unneeded airflow down low. So I was like, okay, I like this cam because I like to run 1/6 rocker arms. So once you throw 1/6 ratio rocker arm on this particular cam, lo and behold, you got 512, 512 lift on the intake and exhaust. Not by coincidence, that matches really well with my double hump heads, those 492 double hump heads that I run on that engine. So now I've gotten a better mindset of trying to make more power, whereas before when I went through that engine, it was basically to do it cheaply, run on as cheap a pump gas as I could stick in it, and be dependable. Now I'm trying to put a little bit more thought, a little bit more theory into matching my parts up a little bit better so I can enjoy the engine up until I sell it to whoever the new owner might be. So, because don't forget, the LS is still coming, but I'm going to go through this engine, make it enjoyable for myself, make it more marketable to sell to someone in the future. So basically we're going to bump it up to a 512, 512. That'll also slightly change the 50 thousandths to a 232, 232. Advertised stays the same because advertised is just as it sounds. It's what everybody wants to put on there, and they can say whatever they want. So we'll just say 306, 306. Lobe separation doesn't change. But this will be a really good sounding cam in a 350. Should have a power range of about 22 to 6,200 RPMs. As you know, with the hydraulic roller tappets, you don't have to worry about camshaft break-in. I did purchase the Howard's Racing Components single. It's a single valve spring with a 125-pound seat at a 1.750 installed height, so I can more than handle the lift of this cam and the weight of the hydraulic roller lifters. Now keep in mind, when you're wanting to rev an engine above 5,000, 5,500, sometimes, more times than not, you're going to have to add a little bit of spring pressure in there to help handle that extra weight of that hydraulic roller lifter. So since I intend on spinning this engine probably every bit of 6,200 on an occasion, I went ahead and matched up a good set of Howard's Racing springs so that I can throw them in here, handle the cam lift even with the high ratio rockers, and be able to control that lifter and enjoy the power. So basically that's what we're looking at, is our upgrade to the 350 with the Elgin E1135P hydraulic roller cam. Every intent is to run the Comp 1/6 aluminum roller rockers on it. I do have the hardened 7.200 push rods because my heads have guide plates, so I need the hardened steel to rub on them guide plates if they touch. So everything looks like I've lined it out properly. Once I get the heads, updated to the positive seals and the new spring setup, we will look at putting this hydraulic roller cam in there and see if we can make a little bit of power. So as I said before, I'm basically building this engine so I can enjoy it. I've gotten away from and actually hate the little RV cam I originally put in that engine because I just can't stand not having a little lump to the idle. So I will appease myself, put in this hydraulic roller that does not require break-in. I'd like to say that again, does not require break-in, so you don't have to worry about killing your lifters or your lobes. And I will have the sound that I want and the newfound power that I'm sure I'll enjoy. So anyway, I appreciate you guys watching the videos. Hopefully you guys get a little something out of this information that I try to share. And keep on watching.